Broncos country, we got a little bit of drama heading into this Broncos and Giants game. I don't know if y'all heard about it, man, but Jonathan Cooper kind of taking jabs at Jackson Dart. And then you have Nick Bonito taking jabs at the Giants fan base. And I'll tell you guys, man, straight up, I actually don't like any of that. I do not. Because I get that the Broncos defense is feeling themselves. They can't forget that they're a team right now, and there's not a lot that the other two phases on this team can really feel themselves about. But we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about this game as an overview. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but yesterday after practice, Jonathan Cooper met with the media, and he kind of took a little bit of a jab at Jackson Dart when they asked about him. He said, he's got his little chain. He's kind of feeling himself a little bit, which is what he had said, right? And I don't know if he necessarily meant for it to come off the way that it did, but it did. And so he was kind of throwing a little bit of shade, right? Kind of smiled about it and all that. And then Nick Bonito went on Twitter and he said, I've never seen such a delusional fan base, before he quickly deleted the post afterwards. So I don't know if that had anything to do with the Giants fans' reactions to what Jonathan Cooper said. I don't blame him for reacting in any way because, that's your quarterback, man. So there's a little bit of drama. Kayvon Thibodeau is going out there on Twitter, kind of responding back and, talking a little bit like, we'll settle this out on Sunday. So I don't like it. I don't like it, especially in a game where really most of the pressure is going to be on us. But it makes for a really fun game. I'm really pumped about this game as a whole. I think it's going to be a really fun matchup. And listen, I like what the Giants are doing. I'm going to preface by saying that, I've always liked the Giants franchise, always liked Eli Manning, and obviously you love it when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl 2 times. So I've been a Giants fan, that's not really an actual fan. I've always kind of liked them. Now, breaking news that actually just came out, Abdul Carter popped up on the injury report with a hamstring injury. And now he's listed as questionable. So, bad news for Giants fans there, because Abdul Carter seems like he had tweaked the hamstring in practice. That's why he was limited today. The severity of it, we don't know. We'll find out the game status, but that's not usually a good sign. If you have any kind of a hamstring injury, usually you miss the next week entirely. When it happens on Friday, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to miss it. But we're going to have to see. So that is big news there overall. But let's talk about these two teams and kind of where they're sitting, right? Because where the NFL ranks them doesn't really tell the full story, right? You look at the offensive ranks. The Broncos are currently 15th in total offense. The Giants are currently 19th. But in terms of points per game, the Broncos are 21st and the Giants are 26th. Now, on the flip side, the Giants, since Jackson Dart has become the quarterback, they've actually been playing a lot better on offense. So it doesn't take that into account in terms of what they've been doing over the last couple of weeks. They've been running the ball a lot better. I think their offense overall has been much better than it is. And then the defensive side of the ball, the Broncos rank second and the Giants currently rank 27th. But again, the Giants defense, I think, is starting to mold into form a little bit more. It's the back end, it's that secondary where they struggle. But there's going to be a lot of areas in which the Broncos can take advantage of this team nonetheless. And the big thing, man, the big stat we talked about, and I wanted to dive in a little bit more here, is the Giants run man coverage the third most of any team in the NFL, surprisingly more than the Denver Broncos. I don't think that's going to be the case, because the way that defenses have been playing against our offense is a lot of zone, because Bo Nix and this offense has tended to struggle more against zone than against man. Although Bo has shown a lot of improvement against zone, I'd be surprised, because if this Giants team wants to go one-on-one and do a lot of man coverage, I don't think it's going to work out really well for them. And this is not me looking at it through my orange and blue lenses. This is me just saying, I will take that. I hope that the Giants come out and go man coverage all day, because we've got guys like, obviously Cortland Sutton is really good against man, but we've got Evan Ingram that can crush you in man coverage. We've got Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims, who are, looking at some of the stats, elite when it comes to separation against man coverage. So that is certainly something that I would like to see. In addition to man coverage, it also helps get Bo Nix running, because when they're playing man and their backs are towards the quarterback, Bo Nix can take off with his legs. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense for the Giants to play a whole lot of man against Broncos, but they might, because you're not always going to shift your identity. If that's the case, I think this Broncos offense is going to make a lot. It's gonna have a really good game and be able to produce quite a bit against the Giants overall. But when you look at these two teams, there's a lot of similarities between them. The strength of the Giants offense has been their offensive line. Surprisingly, they've done a really good job revamping that. and the run game, especially with Cam Scatterbo. You look at the Broncos, same kind of thing, right? Offensive line is very good. Run game has been kind of their strength. Both teams have still young quarterbacks. Obviously, Jackson Dart only, this is going to be his 4th game, I believe. But in general, they're built out very differently, very similarly. And then on the defensive side of the ball, their strength is their D-line with Dexter Lawrence on the interior being a beast, comparable to our Zach Allen, right? And then their edge rushers, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, who could, like we said, miss this game. And on the flip side, the Broncos again, right? Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, Jonah Ellis, who I don't think is going to be playing in this one, and Dondrea Tillman. And there's a reason we lead the league in sacks. So a lot of similarities when it comes to that. So that's going to be a big thing. So that kind of brings us the keys to the game. And I'm not always going to say the same exact keys to the game like I always do, right? Want to see the Broncos win the turnover battle and dominate the time of possession. Those are going to be the obvious ones. But man, for me, it's which offensive tackles can limit the pass rush the best, right? Obviously, they have Andrew Thomas at left tackle. He's an elite left tackle. We have Garrett Bowles, who, in my opinion, is an elite left tackle as well. So if we're able to keep our quarterbacks upright and take some of the pressure away, whichever team is going to be able to do that is going to have a massive advantage in this game, because that's really where the strength of both defenses lies. And again, it's strength against strength. So which of those strengths is going to ultimately prevail is going to be a big part of that matchup. Another one is Jaquan McMillan or Jahdae Barron against Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson right now is like their primary target when it comes to catching the football, right? Darius Slayton, he's doubtful for this game again. Malik Neighbors, we know their superstar wide receivers out for the season. So, I mean, I personally think Wan'Dale Robinson is a really good player. He's a very good slot guy. He's a highly targeted, highly efficient guy. So to be able to, if you can eliminate him completely from the game, and he is primarily in the slot, so I don't think PS2 will travel with him. There's going to be, it's going to pose a really good advantage for the Giants if he's able to get going. But it's going to be on McMillan and Jahdae Barron, those two guys playing in the slot, to be able to really shut him down. And I'll tell you guys this. Wan'Dale Robinson is going to get his against Jaquan McMillan. But if Jaquan McMillan continues to get tested, he will make a big play. That is just what he does all day. So I'm excited to see that matchup, no doubt about it. And also, is Dre Greenlaw playing? We're going to know more about that today. But how we stop Cam Scatterbo in the run game. You got to make this offense as one-dimensional as possible, right? The key to this game for the Broncos defense is not just to get pressure on Jackson Dart, but it's to force Jackson Dart to beat you throwing the football. You'll take that all day. You'll take Jackson Dart and the weapons that he has, and obviously where he's at in his development, which is still early on, against those, our secondary, Riley Moss and Pat Surtain and Hufanga and Brandon Jones. It's a really stacked secondary unit. So that's going to be the best way to do it, to be able to get yourself off the field on third downs. That's really what I'm looking forward to seeing a lot. And on the flip side, can the Broncos get J.K. Dobbins going, right? Dexter Lawrence is an elite interior defensive lineman, 6'4", 342 pounds, very good against the run, very good at collapsing the pocket. The Broncos are on their 4th string left guard, essentially, going into this week with Alex Polcheski, who is a tackle. Again, we're using a tackle to play guard. And while I think it's an upgrade from Matt Pert, who played last week, this is a hell of a test for Alex Polcheski making his first start at left guard for the Broncos. And the biggest weakness on our offensive line has been Luke Wattenberg, our center. So now you've got two guys next to each other that are going to be primarily responsible for Dexter Lawrence. It's a big test. So can they get the run game going up the middle instead of just relying on going on the outsides? And are they going to be able to get that part of their game going? If the Broncos get an offense, the run game going, they're going to be able to open up a lot of things on the back end in terms of passing the football. But do not be surprised, because this is what I would do for what it's worth if I was the offensive coordinator. I would try to use the pass game to get the run game going, because I do like the advantages that we have in the pass game with our weapons versus their secondary, especially if they're going to be playing a lot of man. So force them to cover and have some good run looks out of some lighter boxes on the offensive side of the ball. That's going to be big. And another one is the Broncos have to be better on special teams. They have to. They got to be able to play the field possession game better. they got to be able to cover a lot better as well. Because, man, I'll tell you what, like those are the things that really can even up a game between maybe two opponents that aren't as close from a talent standpoint, or like whatever the line shows, which I don't think that's the case. I think these teams are a lot closer than people think. But that's kind of where I'm at in terms of that. So you want to see this special teams unit really clean things up a whole lot. That's going to be a big key to this game as well. If the Broncos are able to outrush the Giants, I really like the chances that they have of getting the victory, essentially. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. And obviously everything else in terms of what's another key to the game. I mean, there's several different areas that can sway a game. So we're not going to go over the basics of it. But there's one more key matchup and one more person that I really want to highlight that I think is truly going to be the X factor for the New York Giants if they want to get the upset in Denver. And that is going to be Theo Johnson. This guy has really gotten it going over the last few weeks, especially from the touchdown department. He's just been playing really well. He's got 17 catches on the year for 126 yards, but he's got 3 touchdowns. And that is where you can really get an advantage against the Broncos. The Broncos defense is very, very good. Very good. I wouldn't say that they're elite quite yet, but where they are elite is in the red zone. Unbelievably stout in the red zone. Theo Johnson has been their primary red zone threat. So we need to have a plan for him because Theo Johnson can definitely flip the way in which this game goes. And so he's someone that I would definitely keep an eye out for in terms of someone that I think they've got a really big advantage, especially, like I said, with the Slayton injuries, with the Malik Neighbor injury. Their overall weapons are pretty limited. So they got Wan'Dale Robinson, right? They got obviously Cam Scatterbo out of the backfield. But I think Theo Johnson is somebody that really is going to be an X factor. If the Broncos can shut him down, it's going to be very, very tough to beat him here. And then, that's the big thing. I think that the overall way that the Broncos match up, I think, is a positive for us, but you obviously have to go out there and play. And so I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup. How do I got this game going? It's a good question, man. I've gone back and forth because earlier in the week, I just had a feeling that it was going to be kind of a blowout game. I really felt good about, the Broncos and the way in which they matched up against the Giants. And then I continue looking into the Giants, man, and I realized that they are really good at the important parts of football. They've got a really good O-line. They've got a very good defensive line, a good pass rush. And that always is going to keep guys and teams in the game. But I just feel like our defense, the way that they're playing right now, is going to give Jackson Dart a lot of trouble. I really do believe that. And I know that a big emphasis for this defense has been trying to force more turnovers because they've basically done everything else well except for that. So I just believe that we're going to be able to get a lot of pressure, frustrate Jackson Dart as the game goes on. Hit him a lot, pressure him, and it's going to be able to cause some turnovers. I do have the Broncos winning this game 31-16. But again, wouldn't be surprised if it was a very close game as well, as I'm really looking forward to seeing this. Let me know you guys' score predictions below. And can't wait till Sunday, baby. Go Broncos. Peace out.